I need you guys to please share this video because this is one of the saddest stories that you are ever going to hear in your life. So 3 years ago, there's a Palestinian man, 32 years old. His name is Iyad Hallaq, and he's autistic. And he was, there he is. You can see his mother holding his portrait. He was shot dead by an Israeli border guard. Now, his mother said that Iyad has the mental age of a 7-year-old. Okay? So he's like a kid. He's a kid. And he comes from Jerusalem, occupied Jerusalem, and he goes to a special needs school. Okay? And he's on his way to school, and an Israeli border guard starts chasing him and yelling at him that he's a terrorist, and then this border guard and his commander start chasing him, and they shoot him in the leg. He starts bleeding out, and he goes to hide in a garbage room, in a trash room, and it just so happens that his teacher from the school is also walking there, and she sees what's happening, and she's the first one to go into the trash room, and she sees these Israelis, and she's begging them to stop. She's trying to explain he's autistic, I'm his teacher, and she goes to call the director, and they execute him. This border guard fired 3 bullets in his chest with an M16, killed him. And yesterday morning, an Israeli court let him go. He walked free. This is his mother screaming, just howling after the court let her son's killer walk free. Now, you need to understand that this Israeli border guard, he accused Iyad of having a gun. This is a lie. There is no gun. There was no gun. Nothing. As I said, his mother says he has the mental age of a 7-year-old. He has no concept of, even what he's living in, which is an occupation. He has no concept of a terrorist or whatever they're trying to yell at him. He was scared. He's like, he does not understand. He's scared, and he ran because that's his instinctive reaction. He's done nothing wrong. And even after his teacher is explaining to the border guard, he is autistic, I am his teacher, the border guard executes him. So he knows what's going on, right? He knows that this guy, he does not have a gun, and then he kills him anyway. And at the time, the same day, you know what happened? The Israelis, the Shin Bet, which is their equivalent of the FBI, right? So it's the internal security. They raid his parents' house. So they kill Iyad and they raid his parents' house. And what they were trying to do is they were trying to find dirt. They were hoping to find something bad in the house so that they could say, oh, look, he was a terrorist after all, or something crazy. And of course, they found absolutely nothing because there is nothing. Then they wouldn't give the body to the family for several days, which delayed the grieving process and the burial, and is very bad and painful. The Israelis claimed that there were no cameras filming the incident, which is kind of funny because the Israelis put 50 cameras on every goddamn street, right? Everywhere. They have cameras in every corner, okay? So this turned out to be a lie, and you can see the footage. Magically, some footage appeared out of nowhere, Here it is. It's nothing graphic. You can see Iyad over here running.
ويمكن أن تبين محاولته الهروب من أفراد حرس الحدود
وهم chasing him with M16s.
المشاهد لا تبين أنه شكل خطرا على أحد وتظهر.
In the courtroom, I want you to grasp how disgusting this is. The guard who shot him claimed that when he entered this garbage room, he thought Iyad was going to harm this woman, his teacher, right? And that the woman was screaming, and he thought that she was screaming because she was, terrified that something was going to happen, that Iyad was going to harm her, and that Iyad was a terrorist and he had a gun or something, right? And that's ridiculous. She was screaming at the Israelis to tell them to stop. She's screaming at them, not at Iyad. She's not terrified of Iyad. She knows him. She's his teacher. She's telling them that. And then he flips and says, oh, I was trying to save her. What happened is after they shot him, they pointed their guns at her. They pointed their guns at the teacher even. And look at this other contradiction. So they say on the one hand, we were scared that Iyad was going to hurt the woman, his teacher. And then on the other hand, they say, when they came in the trash room, they were asking his teacher, where's the gun, right? He gave you a gun, right? Hold on a second. If he's trying to hurt her, why would he give her a gun? Just contradiction after contradiction, just insane. And he wasn't even charged with murder. It was manslaughter, which is ridiculous. I mean, this guy knew that Iyad is autistic, and he just shoots him anyway at point blank range. At point blank range, this guy's bleeding out on the floor from his leg, and that's an execution. And even in the Israeli newspapers, they were like, what the hell is this? I want to show you this quote that's from an Israeli journalist, Gideon Levy in Haaretz. Look what he wrote at the time, because this happened a few days, I think a week before George Floyd was killed, when they had the protests in the U.S. So this is what he wrote. He said, quote, the border police are no less brutal or racist than the police in the United States. There, they shoot black people whose blood is cheap, and in Israel, they shoot Palestinians whose blood is even cheaper. Here's another thing that I pointed out, that actually this court that let this Israeli border guard walk free. It's funny because you not only see how there's no accountability for, Israeli crimes. The Israelis claim that they have a democracy, that they have separation of powers, and they have a working judiciary. They don't. This is a get off scot-free type of democracy, right? You can do whatever you want. If you kill a Palestinian, doesn't matter. Autistic, not autistic, doesn't matter. You can get away with it, right? The defendant, the guard, he says that, well, I was a rookie at the time, and I didn't know what was going on, and my commander told me that there was a terrorist and so on. This is such a lie. If you're a rookie, then why are you firing your gun? If you're a rookie, why are you working this job? You shouldn't even be there in the first place. Like I said here, this entire incident should not have taken place because the Israelis are illegally occupying Jerusalem, right? People talk about Russia occupying Ukraine and annexing Ukraine. I'm sorry, man. Let's deal with this. This is a far bigger issue, and it's been going on for far longer. The Israelis illegally annexed Jerusalem in 1980, before I was even born. And at the time, the United Nations declared their annexation null and void. So the Israelis passed a law called the Jerusalem Law, right? And then, of course, they annexed the Golan Heights, the Syrian Golan Heights, illegally. So my point here is that the Israelis shouldn't even be there. They have no right to be there. The UN has said you have to withdraw. You have no jurisdiction there. So this Israeli court that is saying this border guard didn't do anything wrong, it doesn't even have jurisdiction in Jerusalem in the first place. It is not. It is null and void, as the United Nations said. Israel has no right to run a court, to have border guards, to have civilians, anything in Jerusalem. Jerusalem was supposed to be a kind of special, in the partition plan, which the Israelis always point to, say, see, the Arabs didn't accept it, but we accepted it. And that's why we're a UN member state, and, we have the legal, moral high ground, and blah, blah, blah. Well, the partition plan says that Jerusalem doesn't belong to anyone. It's supposed to be a separate body, corpus separatum in Latin. It's supposed to have a special legal status because it's so important to Jews and Muslims and Christians. It should be its own, international and city that doesn't belong to anyone. So the court doesn't even have jurisdiction there, right? UN Security Council Resolution 478 says get the hell out, null and void. So it's truly a kangaroo court, And I find this so disgusting. And really, to add insult to injury, quite literally adding insult to injury, the Israeli security minister, Ben-Gvir, he yells at Iyad's mother and calls her a terrorist. Again, just so you understand this, look here, watch the video. So that's his mother here, and that's him on the left. Like what are they doing here? They've come out to to bully her after her son's been murdered. Again, just to recap, this is an old woman. Her son is autistic. They murdered her son. They let the killer walk free. And then on top of it, they come outside the court to insult her and call her a terrorist. Jesus Christ. I mean, I've never heard of somebody so low, truly low, a true scumbag in every sense of the word. It's really hard to imagine anybody who's more depraved and more of a scumbag than Ben Gvir. He is truly the embodiment of a scumbag. And he does all things like this, but all the time. But this one was really, really, really outrageous. Another example, he would set up a tent in Sheikh Jarrah, which is a district in Jerusalem. And you might recall in the last 2 years, especially, that the Israelis have been trying to kick out Palestinians who live there so that they can let Jewish settlers move in, right? Ethnic cleansing. And what he would do is he goes and puts his tent outside their homes, outside the homes of Palestinians, so that the Israeli security services come and protect him and his supporters who are bullying and yelling at people who are inside their homes. Can you imagine somebody coming and putting a tent outside your house and the army comes to protect that person and their supporters are yelling at you and telling you to get out of your house, and they're just like, antagonizing you and terrifying you while the courts work to kick you out. I mean, this is disgusting beyond measure. And that's what he did, right? But this one really takes the cake. I mean, this is really a new level of low, even for him, even for Ben Gvir. What a despicable, little, sad, pathetic person. What a sad person. He's pathetic, truly. Terrorist. The only terrorist here is Israel. When you murder an autistic person, you are the terrorist. And when the system lets that person walk free, that system is a system that inflicts terror. Do you understand? Iyad, unfortunately, I don't think he was ever going to get justice. And I said this at the time because keep in mind, I was reporting on this. I was covering this from the moment it happened, right? Go back 3 years. You can see my videos on this. And I told you that this guy, I don't think Iyad Hallaq, I knew that he's not going to get any justice. I knew that the Israeli guard who killed him is going to walk free. I told you this at the time because the Israelis always do this. You can get away with murder, quite literally, whether it's in Gaza or it's in Jerusalem. No matter what you inflict on a Palestinian, you can get away with it. And by the way, Ben Gvir, actually, it's funny because he is now the security minister, right? But he himself, he's been convicted of supporting a terrorist group, and he's what the Israelis call a far right, ultra Zionist. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as Palestinians and anyone who sees the truth is concerned, every Israeli, whether they are on the so-called liberal end of the spectrum or the far right end of the spectrum, they're still living on Palestinian land and Syrian land at the expense of Palestinians and Syrians. Doesn't matter what they identify as or what their feelings are. That's the reality. But he is really, definitely an extremist. And even by Israel standards, he is an extremist, which kind of says a lot, What a disgusting person. It's very sad, though. It's very sad for Iyad, and it's very sad. Very sad. He's innocent. He's completely innocent. I don't just mean, in the legal sense, but like as a person. His mother said he's 7 years old mentally. Like he does. This is very sad. And I actually made a thread at the time on Twitter of other people who, have special needs or who are disabled mentally or physically or have any sort of handicap or in all of these categories who have been targeted by the Israelis and killed. There's no mercy. They have no mercy on anyone who's Palestinian, even people who are the most vulnerable of society, even someone like Iyad, which is I guess it's to be expected, but it still doesn't make it any easier, especially for his parents. That's really sad. The most important thing that you can do is you share this video and you tell people, because if we don't do that, then the Israelis get away with it. And that is unacceptable. There is no justification for this. This is something that is so depraved. It's beyond belief, truly beyond belief. And one last thing before I forget, the Israeli guard who walked free, he was even promoted during the trial. Can you imagine? So they not only let him walk free unpunished, they also rewarded him. He was rewarded despite doing this to Iyad. That is what we are dealing with. This is Israel. This is what Israel does.